The faint hum of the air conditioner filled the cramped restroom. Ruby leaned against the sink, one hand clutching her phone, the other trembling slightly as she pressed it to her ear. "Ma, I'll send it soon, okay? Just hold on a little longer." Her voice was barely a whisper, swallowed by the sound of running water from a leaky tap. She forced a small smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, trying to sound hopeful, trying not to let her mother hear the fatigue weighing down every word. In the mirror, her reflection stared back, tired eyes framed by strands of hair escaping her ponytail, a face that had forgotten what rest looked like. Still, beneath the exhaustion, there was something unshaken, a quiet determination that refused to break. When the call ended, Ruby exhaled shakily and tucked her phone into her apron. She dabbed her cheeks with cold water, straightened her uniform, and whispered to her reflection, "Just one more shift." Then she pushed open the door. The restaurant buzzed with the lunch crowd. Clinking cutlery, the soft chatter of couples, the sizzle from the open kitchen. It all blended into a blur of sound. Ruby slipped into motion, weaving between tables, balancing trays, smiling at strangers, as if her heart wasn't heavy. Every plate she set down, every polite bow, carried a whisper of her real goal, to save enough money to bring her mother to Seoul for proper treatment. As she turned toward a new table, something caught her eye. A man sitting alone near the window. Hood up, dark glasses on despite the indoor lighting. His posture was tense, guarded. She didn't think much of it. Seoul was full of people hiding from something. "Good day, sir," she greeted softly, setting down a menu. The man nodded without lifting his head. His fingers drummed on the table in a restless rhythm. Ruby glanced at him once more before walking away. There was something familiar about the jawline, the shape of his hands. But she didn't dwell on it. At that same moment, Min-Rae felt like the walls were closing in. Just a week ago, he'd been South Korea's golden boy, a beloved actor whose face sold everything from perfumes to luxury cars. Then came Rina. Rina, his ex-girlfriend and former co-star, had gone on a live variety show and done what no one expected. She laughed, smiled for the cameras, and tore him apart in front of millions. She mocked his career slump, joked that dating him had been an act of pity, and finished by flaunting her new relationship with his rival Taejin, the man producers were already calling the new Min-Rae. The headlines exploded within hours. Memes, tabloids, fan wars, reporters outside his apartment, drones over his home. Every click felt like a new wound. Now, sitting in this small restaurant, hoodie pulled low, he just wanted to breathe, to exist for 1 hour without being recognized or humiliated. But even here, peace felt fragile. At the counter, Ruby waited for an order to be plated. She couldn't resist checking her phone again, her thumb hovering over her mother's message. The fever came back. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." She lifted her phone slightly, trying to read under the bright kitchen light, completely unaware that from where Min-Rae sat, it looked like she was pointing her camera straight at him. He froze, blood rushing to his head. His jaw clenched. Another invasion. Another stranger trying to profit off his pain. The chair screeched as he stood, eyes blazing behind his sunglasses. His voice sliced through the restaurant like a blade. "How dare you invade my privacy?" Every head turned. Forks paused mid-air. Ruby spun around, confusion written across her face as Min-Rae stormed toward her, and the room fell into stunned silence. Every eye in the restaurant was locked on them. Ruby's pulse hammered in her ears as Min-Rae's voice echoed through the stillness. His anger was sharp, cutting through her confusion like glass. I wasn't," she stammered, clutching her phone as if it could defend her. "I wasn't taking pictures." But Min-Rae wasn't listening. His chest rose and fell in shallow bursts, his frustration spilling over into every word. "You people are all the same," he snapped, his tone cold, shaking with exhaustion. "Leeches for attention, always looking for a headline." A ripple of whispers passed through the crowd. Phones tilted discreetly, recording the scene. Ruby felt the heat rise to her face, not from guilt, but from the humiliation of being accused of something she hadn't done. Her manager, Mr. Cho, came rushing out from behind the counter, bowing repeatedly to Min-Rae. I'm so sorry, sir. She's new. She doesn't understand boundaries. He turned to Ruby, his voice turning from syrup to venom. Apologize. Right now. Ruby swallowed hard. Her hands trembled, but her voice, though small, carried a quiet steadiness. I didn't take any pictures, she said, eyes locked on Min-Rae's hidden face. I was just checking on my family. Mr. Cho slammed a hand on the counter. Don't talk back. Do you know who this is? You're fired, Ruby. Get out of my restaurant right now. The room froze. Somewhere near the door, a spoon dropped onto a plate with a soft clatter. Ruby stood still for a moment, the words sinking in. Her breath quivered, but she didn't cry. Not here. Not in front of them. Slowly, she untied her apron and set it neatly on the counter. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Thank you for the job. Then she turned and walked toward the door. Every step felt heavier than the last, but her back stayed straight. Her eyes shimmered, though no tear fell. The door chimed softly as it closed behind her, and the restaurant seemed to lose all sound. Min-Rae's anger faltered, leaving behind an empty ache. He watched the door swing shut, the echoes of her calm honesty replaying in his mind. I was just checking on my family. He pulled off his sunglasses, revealing eyes that had lost their fire. Regret crashed through him in waves. He looked at Mr. Cho, whose smug expression had already returned. You shouldn't have fired her like that, Min-Rae said quietly, the weight of guilt heavy in his tone. Mr. Cho blinked, startled. But sir, Min-Rae didn't wait for an answer. He turned, grabbed his jacket and hurried out into the street, his heart pounding for a reason that had nothing to do with anger. Outside, the sky had turned grey, the first hints of drizzle soft against the pavement. Somewhere ahead, Ruby's figure disappeared into the crowd, and without thinking, Min-Rae broke into a run. The drizzle had turned into a steady mist, softening the edges of the city. Ruby walked fast, clutching her small handbag, her shoes splashing lightly through puddles as she made her way toward the bus stop. Her chest felt tight, not from anger, but from that familiar ache of being blamed for something she didn't do. Behind her, footsteps echoed against the wet pavement. Ruby. She stopped. For a second, she thought she'd imagined it. No one in this city called her by name. But then she turned, and there he was. Min-Rae, breathless, no sunglasses, no disguise. Just a man stripped of the arrogance she'd seen moments ago. I'm sorry, he said, his voice rough, sincere. I was wrong. Ruby didn't move. Raindrops beaded on her hair as she looked at him, unsure whether to walk away or let him finish. I've been having a bad day, he continued. A bad week, actually. But that's not your fault. I shouldn't have shouted at you like that. His tone carried a tremor, not the polished, confident cadence of a celebrity, but something real, human. Ruby looked at him for a long moment before replying. Her voice was soft, almost tender, but it didn't waver. That's not an excuse, she said quietly. But I forgive you. Just try not to hurt people who did nothing wrong. For a moment, Min-Rae had no words. Her calmness disarmed him completely. He'd expected anger, maybe a slap, but instead she met his apology with grace, something he'd long forgotten existed. As the bus approached, headlights glowing through the mist, he took a hesitant step closer. Please, let me make it up to you, he said. I can help you find another job. Maybe at my agency's cafe or... Ruby shook her head gently, interrupting him with a faint smile. You don't have to do that. I can take care of myself. But thank you. He wanted to say more, but the bus doors opened with a hiss. She stepped on board without another word. Through the fogged glass, he watched her take a seat by the window, composed, quiet, unbothered. The bus pulled away, leaving Min-Rae standing in the rain, a faint reflection of himself rippling in a puddle at his feet. Something about her stayed with him. The strength beneath her gentleness, the calm in her eyes that reminded him of a life untouched by fame or pretense. Days later, fate placed her in his path again. Min-Rae was on set, filming a new scene near a crowded street market. Between takes, The smell of frying batter drifted through the air. He followed it absent-mindedly. And there she was, Ruby. She stood behind a small food stall, hair tied back, apron dusted with flour, serving tteokbokki to a line of customers. The soft steam framed her face in a gentle haze. He hesitated at first, unsure if she'd even want to see him again, but then she looked up, and her eyes met his. No surprise, no anger, just a quiet acknowledgement. "Still running from the world?" she asked lightly, as if they were old acquaintances. "Something like that," he replied, almost smiling. He ordered, ate standing by her stall, and left without making a scene. But the next day he came back, and the next. Soon it became a habit. Him stopping by between shoots, sometimes still in costume, sometimes in his hoodie and cap. At first, their conversations were short, polite, cautious. But with time, walls softened. Ruby began to see the man behind the fame, the one who loved street food, who made dry jokes, who flinched at camera flashes even when none were there. Min-Rae, in turn, found something he hadn't felt in years: peace. Her presence was quiet but grounding, like a voice reminding him of who he was before the world made him into someone else. He no longer needed to talk much. Just being near her, hearing her hum softly as she worked, was enough. But peace never lasts long under a spotlight. One afternoon, while Min-Rae sat at her stall eating, a camera shutter clicked somewhere across the street. Neither of them noticed, not until the next morning, when the headlines flooded every feed. Top actor Min-Rae seen with unknown woman. Min-Rae's new lover from the streets? Within hours, Ruby's name spread online. The restaurant staff who once worked with her shared old photos, mocking her, twisting stories. Strangers dissected her life, her clothes, her smile. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Messages, comments, insults. By evening, she could barely bring herself to step outside. The small world she had built, simple, quiet, honest, had shattered overnight. And this time it wasn't her fault either. The headlines hadn't faded when Rena saw them. She sat in her high-rise apartment, a glass of wine in hand, her reflection flickering in the darkened window. On her phone screen, a photo of Min-Rae laughing at a street stall with Ruby. Her, the waitress, the nobody, filled the trending page. A slow, bitter smile curved her lips. "Of course," she murmured to herself. "He'd fall for someone ordinary. It makes him look humble." But the truth buried deep beneath the mockery was simpler and uglier. She was jealous, not of Ruby's beauty or fame, but of the ease in Min-Rae's eyes, an ease Rena hadn't seen in him even when they'd been together. A few calls later, Rena stood in front of his apartment door, her designer coat draped loosely around her shoulders. When Min-Rae opened the door, surprise flickered across his face. "Rena," he said, his tone flat, wary. "Why are you here?" She smiled sweetly, stepping inside before he could refuse. "Relax, I just came to talk." The scent of her perfume, sharp and familiar, filled the air. She perched on the edge of his sofa, crossing her legs gracefully. "I saw the news. You and that street vendor." Min-Rae's jaw tensed. "Her name is Ruby." Rena tilted her head, feigning innocence. "Right, Ruby. Cute. But you do know how this looks, don't you? People are saying she's using you. And honestly..." She gave a delicate shrug. "You can't be sure she isn't." He frowned. "You don't know her." "I don't have to," she replied softly. "I've seen enough people chase fame to recognize one." Her voice dripped with practiced sympathy, but her eyes betrayed something colder, a spark of envy, of control slipping through her fingers. Before leaving, she placed a manicured hand on his arm. "Just be careful, Min-Rae. Not everyone who smiles at you wants you. Some only want your name." That night, the storm she'd set brewing began to rage. Private photos, harmless moments of him buying snacks at Ruby's stall, her smiling, handing him food, were leaked online. But captions twisted the story. Exclusive, Ruby's hidden agenda exposed. Leaked messages reveal gold digger's plan to trap actor Min-Rae. Within hours, Ruby's life collapsed again. Customers stopped coming. The once busy stall stood quiet, her trays untouched. She tried to smile through it, but each new message burned deeper. You ruined his career. Go back where you came from. Trash like you doesn't belong near him. Her phone rang endlessly, until one night she switched it off out and didn't turn it on again. By morning her stall was empty. The pots, the signs, even her apron were gone. No one knew where she went. When Min-Rae heard, he felt something inside him snap. The guilt, the helplessness. It was too much. He turned off his own phone, ignoring the messages from his agency. They wanted control, containment, silence. But Min-Rae was done being silent. The next day, he walked into a live interview. Unplanned, unfiltered. Cameras blinked, hosts whispered. His manager signaled frantically from offstage, but Min-Rae looked straight into the lens. "I've been asked to make a statement," he began, his voice calm but edged with steel. "To deny things, to distance myself, but I won't." A hush fell over the studio. "I've never met anyone more sincere than Ruby," he said. The world mocked her for not being famous, but fame doesn't measure worth. "I let people tear her apart because I was afraid. Afraid of the noise, the judgment, not anymore." He paused, eyes steady. Ruby didn't chase the spotlight. The spotlight chased her. And if the price of kindness is public shame, maybe the problem isn't hers, it's us. The silence that followed was heavy, the kind that filled a room and spilled into living rooms across the country. And for the first time in weeks, the world stopped mocking and started listening. Days pass after the interview, but Min-Rae can't rest. The headlines fade, the cameras turn to other scandals, yet one thought won't leave him. Ruby. He searches quietly, not through managers or press networks, but through people she once mentioned. A friend from university tells him Ruby left the city right after everything collapsed. She said she wanted peace. She's volunteering somewhere in the countryside, a clinic by the fields. The next morning, Min-Rae drives out alone. No mask, no hat, no bodyguards, just a man chasing what he lost. The road narrows into dirt paths, bordered by wildflowers. Ahead, a small wooden clinic sits by a rice field. The sound of children laughing mixes with the soft hum of evening insects. Through the open door he sees her, Ruby, wearing a simple white apron, bandaging a farmer's hand, her face calm, her smile the same one that once steadied his chaos. He stands there for a long moment, just watching her, unsure if he deserves to walk in. When she finally notices him, Ruby freezes. Her hand stops midair. For a second, her breath catches. Min-Rae takes a slow step forward. "Hi," he says softly. She blinks, stunned. "You found me." "I had to," he murmurs. "After everything you did. After everything I said." She shakes her head gently. "You didn't have to prove anything, Min-Rae." He swallows hard, voice trembling. "I didn't do it for anyone to see. I did it because I couldn't lose the only person who ever saw me. Not the star, not the scandal, just me." Her eyes glisten, the fight in her melting into something quiet and warm. She wipes her hands on her apron, steps closer, and for the first time in months he sees peace in her face. "Then stay," she whispers, "but this time, not as a star, just as yourself." Min-Rae exhales, a sound halfway between a sob and relief, and nods. Later that evening, they walk down the narrow path behind the clinic. The sun is dipping low, painting the sky gold and pink. A soft breeze carries the scent of wet grass and distant wood smoke. Ruby walks beside him, arms folded loosely, her shoulder brushing his now and then. Neither speaks much. They don't need to. The silence between them finally feels safe. As the camera pulls back, their silhouettes blur against the horizon. Two lives once torn apart by fame and chaos, now side by side, walking into something quieter. Two worlds that collided by mistake, but stayed by choice.
And that's the end of today's story. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts, maybe about the storyline, the characters, a favorite scene, or even the ending. Drop your comments below. I always look forward to reading them. If you'd like to support the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. It really means a lot. I remain Silver, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay well. May God bless you abundantly. And always remember, Silver loves you.